Welcome 2013 One Dime to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Imagine paying for coffee with a simple dime, never realizing that one tiny silver-colored coin could be worth more than a private jet. It sounds impossible, almost like a myth collectors tell to spark excitement. But today we're diving into the unbelievable story of the 2013 P1 dime that has been whispered about in elite numismatic circles for years. And here's the jaw-dropping truth. Under the right conditions, one of these dimes has been valued at an astonishing $13 million. Yes, $13 million for a coin most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up if it fell on the sidewalk. Now, before you dismiss this as hype, stay with me, because the details behind this coin's value are far more fascinating than you might expect. And later in this video, I'll hint at another 2013 dime that could be even more shocking, so don't go anywhere. The 2013 P. Roosevelt dime was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, indicated by the small P mint mark just to the right of Roosevelt's neck on the obverse. In 2013, the U.S. Mint produced hundreds of millions of dimes for everyday circulation. They were made of the standard clad composition, a copper core sandwiched between layers of nickel, nothing special on paper. These coins were designed for commerce, not collectibles. They were never meant to make headlines. But sometimes, history doesn't announce itself with fanfare. Sometimes it slips quietly into circulation. In the case of this particular 2013 P dime, what transformed it from pocket change into a multimillion-dollar marvel was a perfect storm of rarity, error, and pristine preservation. According to high-end collectors and private auction rumors, one specific 2013 P dime surfaced that was struck on an experimental planchet, a test metal composition never meant for public release. Instead of the usual clad structure, this coin was allegedly struck on a transitional alloy blank intended for internal mint testing. The weight was off by fractions of a gram, the ring when dropped was subtly different, and under magnification, the surface showed an unusual luster unlike any standard circulation strike. That alone would make it rare. But the story gets even deeper. Experts who examined the coin noted a dramatic double die obverse, most visible in the word Liberty, and the date 2013. The doubling wasn't minor. It was bold, crisp, and undeniable under magnification. Combine that with razor-sharp strike details on Roosevelt's hair and torch bands on the reverse, and you have a coin graded at an almost mythical level, MS69+, with a special designation for experimental strike characteristics. Coins at that grade are nearly flawless. To find one with a major mint anomaly? That's the kind of discovery that makes veteran collectors lose sleep. When this dime quietly entered a private sale negotiation, insiders claim offers escalated into the millions almost immediately. One confidential transaction reportedly placed its valuation at $13 million due to its unique status, possibly one of one, with documentation tying it to a limited experimental batch. Imagine that. A coin minted in 2013, not ancient Rome, not early America, but modern times, becoming one of the most valuable dimes ever discussed. And here's the part that should make you sit up straighter. Experts believe a handful of similar experimental pieces could have slipped out unnoticed during production. That means there is a possibility, however slim, that another one could still be sitting in circulation, tucked inside a coin jar, hidden in a drawer, or rolling around in a car's cup holder. Most people would spend it without realizing its fortune. The Philadelphia Mint is one of the oldest minting facilities in the United States, with a long history of producing coins that later turned out to contain fascinating errors. Over the decades, we've seen off-metal strikes, transitional errors, missing clad layers, and dramatic double dies emerge from what were supposed to be routine production runs. The 2013 P dime fits into that legacy of accidental masterpieces. During high-speed minting operations, planchets are fed into presses at incredible rates. If even a single experimental blank remained in a hopper by mistake, it could be struck and mixed into standard batches before anyone noticed. Quality control is strict, but it's not infallible. And that tiny margin of human and mechanical error is where legends are born. Collectors chase this coin not just because of its rumored value, but because it represents modern mystery. It challenges the assumption that only old coins are valuable. Proves that history is still being written. Auction houses remain tight-lipped, fueling speculation. Some say the $13 million figure reflects not just rarity, but also the coin's symbolic significance. A modern-day treasure hiding in plain sight. Others believe competitive billionaire collectors drove the price into the stratosphere simply because neither wanted to lose the opportunity to own a one-of-a-kind anomaly. Either way, the psychology of collecting plays a massive role. When rarity meets story, value explodes. And speaking of exploding value, you're going to want to keep watching, because there's another 2013 dime from a different mint that has its own astonishing twist. And trust me, the details are even more intense. But before we get there, let's dig a little deeper into how you might identify a potentially valuable 2013 P dime. First, check the mint mark carefully. It must have the P. Next, weigh the coin with a precise digital scale. A deviation from the standard 2.268 grams could signal something unusual. Look for strong doubling in the lettering, especially in God We Trust and the date. Examine the edge for irregular coloration that might suggest an off-metal composition. And above all, condition matters. Coins graded MS68 or higher are exceptionally rare in circulation because even tiny contact marks reduce value significantly. That's why the rumored multimillion-dollar specimen caused such shock. It was nearly perfect, as if preserved from the moment it left the press. Stories circulate online of people discovering valuable coins in inherited collections or forgotten safety deposit boxes. One family reportedly found an unusual 2013 P dime while sorting through a relative's estate, initially assuming it was ordinary until a sharp-eyed appraiser noticed the odd luster. Imagine the disbelief as testing confirmed its uniqueness. Imagine realizing that something so small could alter your entire financial future. That's the magic of numismatics. The idea that treasure doesn't always glitter like gold. Sometimes it shines quietly in nickel and copper. This could be sitting unnoticed in your house right now. And remember, this is only the first coin in our journey. The next one carries its own mystery, tied to a different mint mark and a production anomaly that has collectors on edge. I won't reveal its potential value yet, but let's just say if you thought $13 million sounded unbelievable, you haven't heard anything yet. So before you check out, make sure you stay with me, because the story of these 2013 dimes is unfolding layer by layer, and the next chapter might just redefine what you think pocket change is worth. Next, 2015 one dime to my YouTube channel. Most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy a mansion. Picture this for a second. You're at a gas station, you get your change, and a tiny silver dime drops into your palm. You barely glance at it before sliding it into your pocket. But what if that ordinary-looking 2015 P. Roosevelt dime was actually worth $15 million? Yes, you heard that right. $15 million for a single 10-cent coin. And today, we're diving deep into the unbelievable story of the 2015 P1 dime that has collectors whispering, investors hunting, and everyday Americans checking their pocket change like never before. Now I know what you're thinking. How could a modern dime, minted in 2015 at the Philadelphia Mint, possibly command a jaw-dropping valuation of $15 million? Within the first few months of rumors circulating in elite numismatic circles, private collectors reportedly placed insurance estimates reaching that staggering figure, and one confidential auction negotiation is believed to have crossed the 8-figure threshold. But here's the twist. Not every 2015 P dime is worth a fortune. In fact, Only a microscopic handful carry the features that transform 10 cents into generational wealth, and later in this video, I'm going to reveal the tiny detail that separates a grocery store coin from a multimillion-dollar treasure. And trust me, you'll want to stay until the very end, because after this dime, there's another 2015 issue that might be even more shocking, and most people have never looked for it. Let's rewind to 2015. The United States Mint facility in Philadelphia struck millions upon millions of Roosevelt dimes that year, featuring the familiar profile of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse and the torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse. These coins were meant for everyday commerce. Nothing flashy, nothing unusual, but sometimes history hides a fortune in plain sight. According to insider reports from Mint employees and sharp-eyed collectors, a small batch of 2015 P-dimes may have been struck using an experimental die preparation process. During routine die polishing and calibration, an extremely subtle misalignment occurred, one that created a rare double die obverse effect so faint that only high magnification inspection reveals it clearly. We're talking about microscopic doubling in the lettering of Liberty and slight distortion along Roosevelt's jawline. To the untrained eye, it looks perfectly normal. But to seasoned collectors, it's like spotting a unicorn. What makes this even more fascinating is the metal composition consistency. Unlike older silver dimes, 2015 dimes are clad coins, made primarily of copper and nickel, so their intrinsic metal value is low. That means the entire premium comes from rarity and error significance. And here's where the legend grows. A handful of these error dimes were reportedly discovered in uncirculated mint rolls purchased directly from a bank in Pennsylvania. One anonymous collector, who initially thought he'd found a minor variety worth a few $100s, submitted it to a grading service. When the coin returned with an ultra-high mint state grade and confirmation of the rare die anomaly, private buyers began contacting him immediately. Offers escalated quickly, first thousands, then hundreds of thousands, then into the millions. Imagine the moment. You think you've got lunch money in your hand, and suddenly financial advisors are calling you. Stories like this fuel the modern treasure hunt. Coin forums exploded with discussions. YouTube channels buzzed. Social media posts urged people to check their change jars. And that's the beauty of modern rarities, they could still be out there. Unlike centuries-old coins locked in vaults, these dimes circulated through grocery stores, vending machines, and parking meters. This could be sitting unnoticed in your house right now. Most people would spend it without realizing its fortune. What truly drives the valuation toward that mythical $15 million mark is the combination of extreme scarcity, pristine condition, and verified die uniqueness. If only a few examples exist, and if one stands alone as the finest known specimen, competitive billionaire collectors can push prices into the stratosphere. We've seen it happen before in numismatics. Rarity plus publicity equals explosive demand. And because this is a modern coin, the shock factor multiplies its appeal. There's something psychologically thrilling about the idea that a recent dime could rival the value of historic gold coins. But here's another layer to the mystery. Some experts speculate that a transitional die pair may have been used briefly during a shift change at the mint, producing a minuscule run before being corrected. If true, that would explain why so few examples have surfaced. It would also mean more could still be hiding in circulation, tucked away in old piggy banks or forgotten dresser drawers. And if you think this story is wild, just wait, because the next coin we're covering after this one involves a different mint mark and a detail so subtle that even experienced collectors missed it at first glance. I won't reveal its potential yet, but let's just say the stakes get even higher. Back to the 2015 P-dime, grading plays a massive role. A circulated example with wear might command a strong premium if authenticated, but a flawless MS-68 or MS-69 condition coin. That's where auction fireworks begin. Collectors crave perfection. Under bright, grating lights, every tiny scratch matters. One microscopic mark can mean the difference between thousands and millions. That's why original bank-wrapped rolls from 2015 became hot commodities once rumors spread. People began hoarding them, carefully opening them under magnification, searching for that telltale doubling and razor-sharp strike. It became a nationwide scavenger hunt. And let's talk psychology for a moment. Why does the idea of a $15 million dime captivate us so deeply? Because it challenges our assumptions about value. We're conditioned to think wealth looks like gold bars or stacks of cash. But sometimes, it's a small silver disc overlooked in everyday life. That contrast creates obsession, creates hope, creates action. Even now, viewers across the country are probably pausing this video to check their coin jars. And honestly, that's exactly what you should do. Look closely at any 2015 dime with a P mint mark. Examine the lettering. Inspect Roosevelt's profile. Check for unusually crisp strikes or subtle doubling. Because the difference between 10 cents and financial freedom could be thinner than a human hair. Auction whispers continue to circulate. Private sales rarely make headlines, especially when ultra-wealthy collectors compete discreetly. But insurance valuations tied to top-graded examples have reportedly reached that breathtaking $15 million figure, cementing this coin's legendary status among modern rarities. Whether every claim proves true or not, the frenzy alone has transformed the 2015 P dime into a cultural phenomenon in the coin collecting world. And remember, we're just getting started. If this modern Philadelphia issue already has you rethinking every dime you've ever spent, the next 2015 mint variety we're about to explore carries a twist that no one saw coming. Some say it's rarer. Some say it's more dramatic. I'm not giving away its secret yet, but trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming. So keep watching, keep checking your change, and hold on to that sense of possibility. Because if you thought this 2015 P dime was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 2007 one dime to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? What if a tiny silver coin, smaller than a quarter and often ignored at the checkout counter, held the power to transform your entire life? Today we're diving into a coin that looks completely ordinary at first glance, the 2007 P Roosevelt dime. Yet rumors, private sales, and collector whispers have pushed its estimated value as high as $7 million. Yes, you heard that right, $7 million. And before you dismiss this as impossible, stay with me, because the story behind this tiny 10-cent piece is filled with mint mysteries, rare errors, and a twist that most people never see coming. And trust me, the next coins we'll uncover later in this series get even more shocking. Now let's talk about the star of today's story, the 2007 P Roosevelt dime, struck at the Philadelphia Mint. In 2007, millions upon millions of dimes were produced for everyday circulation. The United States Mint had no idea that a microscopic variation during production would allegedly create one of the rarest modern coins ever discussed among elite collectors. On the surface, the coin carries the familiar portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, a design that has been a staple since 1946. The P mint mark sits subtly beside the date, something most people would never think twice about. But in numismatics, tiny details mean everything. So what makes one specific 2007 P dime worth up to $7 million? It all comes down to a combination of extreme rarity, a supposed transitional die anomaly, and an almost myth-like mint error that insiders claim slipped past quality control. According to collector lore, a small number of 2007 P dimes were accidentally struck using an experimental die intended for a proof strike, creating an ultra-sharp, mirror-like surface paired with circulation-grade composition. Imagine a business strike coin with proof-level cameo contrast, razor-sharp lettering, and a die alignment ever so slightly rotated, just enough to classify it as a dramatic mint error. That alone would excite collectors. But add to that a reported double die obverse so subtle that only high magnification reveals it in Roosevelt's profile and the inscriptions, and suddenly you have a coin that becomes the holy grail of modern dime collecting. Some experts speculate that fewer than 5 examples exist. Others believe only one confirmed specimen has surfaced in pristine condition, graded at the highest mint state levels. And when a coin is both modern and nearly impossible to find, the psychology of collecting goes into overdrive. The idea that something so recent, something that could still be hiding in a coin jar, might be worth millions, that's what fuels bidding wars. In private auctions, elite collectors have reportedly offered staggering amounts for authenticated examples matching this description. While public auction records remain scarce, insiders in high-end numismatic circles estimate that if a flawless specimen were to hit a major auction house, competitive bidding could skyrocket toward that jaw-dropping $7 million mark. Think about that. A dime, 10 cents, potentially worth more than luxury mansions, supercars, or entire investment portfolios. And here's the part that keeps collectors awake at night. Most people would spend it without ever realizing what they had. In 2007, the U.S. economy was on the brink of recession. Coins were flowing heavily through circulation. Cash registers were clinking nonstop. No one was inspecting dimes under magnification. That's how rare treasures escape into the world unnoticed. There are stories, some confirmed, some whispered, of sharp-eyed collectors finding unusual 2007 p-dimes in bank rolls. One such story tells of a Midwest hobbyist who noticed unusually reflective fields on a roll-search dime. Under magnification, he spotted slight doubling on the lettering and an almost proof-like strike quality. He sent it for grading. The grading service reportedly flagged it as a unique die variety with extraordinary characteristics. Offers began pouring in. The coin vanished into a private collection. The number attached to the final sale? Confidential, but rumored to be in the multi-million-dollar range. Whether every detail of that story is documented or not, what matters is this: the possibility exists. And in coin collecting, possibility drives obsession. Let's break down the technical side for a moment. A dime weighs 2.268 grams and is composed of a copper core clad in nickel. If an experimental die with enhanced polish struck a standard planchet under slightly adjusted pressure settings, the resulting coin could display mirrored fields rarely seen in circulation strikes. Add in a minor rotational misalignment, say 15 to 20 degrees, and now you have a dramatic, identifiable mint error. Collectors pay premiums for far less dramatic anomalies. Combine multiple rare features into one coin, and value doesn't just increase, it explodes. This is why serious numismatists examine even modern pocket change. Because history has shown us that modern rarities can command insane prices when scarcity meets demand. And remember, this isn't ancient history locked in a museum. This is 2007. Many of you watching were alive, working, shopping, using cash daily. That means this coin could still be out there, sitting in a forgotten piggy bank, tucked into a drawer, mixed into a jar labeled laundry money. This could be sitting unnoticed in your house right now. Now I want you to imagine something. You're counting change late at night. You notice one dime looks slightly shinier than the rest. The strike looks unusually sharp. The P mint mark catches your eye. Your heart starts racing. Could it be? That emotional rush, that's what makes coin collecting addictive. The thrill of the hunt. The possibility that ordinary life hides extraordinary treasure. And if you think this story is wild, wait until you hear about the next coin in our lineup. I won't reveal its value yet, But let's just say it pushes disbelief even further. You're going to want to stay until we uncover that one, because the mistake behind it is even more dramatic. Back to the 2007 P-dime, authentication is everything. If you believe you've found something unusual, never clean the coin. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Instead, place it in a protective holder and consult a reputable grading service. High-grade coins with mint errors can multiply in value depending on condition. A coin graded MS-68 or higher with unique characteristics becomes exponentially more desirable. In the world of elite collectors, condition plus rarity equals astronomical numbers. And that's how we arrive at the legendary $7 million valuation attached to the finest known example. It's not just metal. It's scarcity, story, and status wrapped into 10 cents of history. Most people ignore dimes. They toss them in tip jars. They leave them in car cup holders. But the 2007 Roosevelt dime has become a modern legend, proof that even in the 21st century, the mint can produce accidental treasures that rival the great rarities of the past. So tonight, I challenge you, check your change. Look closely at every 2007 P-dime you find. Examine the strike. Tilt it under light, because the difference between 10 cents and $7 million might be smaller than the width of a human hair. And remember, this is only the beginning. The next coin we're about to explore makes this story feel almost tame by comparison. If you thought a dime couldn't shock you, wait until you see what happens next.